Welcome to our 76 Capital Leadership Series. My name is Wayne Kimmel, and I'm Managing Director at 76 Capital, and really excited that you're joining us today for our latest 76 Capital Leadership Series. And we have a very special guest. His name is Anthony Tolliver. Many of you know him as an NBA player, but also involved in lots of other things, and we're going to get into all the different things. And he will be going into the bubble with the rest of the other NBA players. And we'll talk about what sort of the mindset of an NBA player having to play during this time. We'll talk about sort of his leadership, what he's done, but also now what some of those potential challenges will be. And we'll talk about the NBA schedule, and it'll be a great conversation. As we always do with our 76 Capital Leadership Series, we get started with our 76 Capital News. And as you know, you can always follow all the things that we do at 76 Capital on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on our YouTube channel. So follow us across all those different networks, and you'll be able to keep up with all the things that are happening with us at 76 Capital. And as you know, we're all about investing in those entrepreneurs that are passionate, that are smart, that are nice, that are trying to build the next thing in sports. And we are looking to talk with you, so please reach out to us. And also, if you're in that industry, you want to work in that industry, it's also a great way for you to get involved. Take a look at the 76 Capital website at 76capital.com to look at all the opportunities that we have with all the companies that we've invested in, and you'll see job openings and opportunities there. So when we go right into the news, what's happening with 76 Capital and what's in the whole sports industry, something really, really interesting is going on. I mean, there was this amazing news where Amazon actually took the naming rights of the Seattle arena, where there will be an NHL team as well as a WNBA team, and they're going to call this arena the Climate Pledge Arena. So they've acquired these rights. It's all about this idea that this downtown venue will highlight environmental initiatives within the whole Seattle area and all the things that this tech giant Amazon is doing. So it's pretty awesome to see Amazon taking those naming rights. Also, what's another incredible thing that's going on is Major League Baseball is coming back. We're going to talk about the NBA, but we also know the Major League Baseball is coming back. And then what's interesting is that a number of teams have actually trying to have players play in front of fans. So there'll be a 60-game season, but a number of the teams, including the White Sox and the St. Louis Cardinals, are going to try to have fans. With a much smaller capacity, but that'll be an interesting thing for us all to watch. So, look, keep an eye on everything that we're doing at 76 Capital. We typically, all of our shows go live on Sunday and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We are excited about bringing you some really exciting new guests and content from all the different leaders across the sports industry. And we've been very fortunate to have some great guests, and we have one of those today as well. I'm really excited to be joined on the 76 Capital Leadership Series with current NBA player Anthony Tolliver. Anthony, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. Really excited to have you, Anthony.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to having a great conversation.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting to have you. I mean, I'd love to, one of the things that we do on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is not only just talk about, the games and, you're with the Memphis Grizzlies right now. And we'll get into some of the nuts and bolts and all the things that are going on within the NBA right now. But also what's really great about our 76 Capital Leadership Series is to hear a little more about you as a person. So I'd love to hear, where you grew up, what your path was from growing up to high school to college, and how that happens.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Springfield, Missouri. So I'm a Midwest kid, and went to Kickapoo High School. Had a phenomenal group of guys there that were really good. Our senior year, we went 30-1, won state championship. Just had a really good career there, and just started to kind of like realize that this basketball thing, definitely has some potential to do pretty well at it, and got a scholarship from Creighton University. Went there for 4 years. Chose Creighton originally because of how good the medical school was, but definitely ended up not going the medical school route after a couple years, realizing once again, this basketball thing I think has some real potential here to do well. So I switched over to business school and got a degree in finance, which a lot of people were like, "What are you doing?" Finance is probably the hardest, maybe second hardest to accounting. Why would you do that? And I was like, well, I think that finance has probably one of the most widespreading nets. I think that can apply to just about any business. Well, it can apply to any business, and me understanding the nuts and bolts behind the business and the numbers and everything else, I think would be highly beneficial. I'd already had a entrepreneurial mindset, even going back to high school. Started a car detailing business, um, uh, a lawn mowing business, and some other things as well. And just yeah, so just um, had that mindset. Got a degree from Creighton, and was hoping to get drafted. Didn't get drafted, but ended up really just having a great time there, getting my degree, making some lifelong friends, and yeah, then snuck my way into the NBA, and then have been able to trick a bunch of teams into continuously signing me. So that's how I look at it.
Well, it's an amazing story. I'd love to go back real quick about some of your major. You talked about finance and going into that world. Was there anyone in whether it was maybe one of your parents or whether it was a teacher or a coach that really was a great mentor that helped you along the way from an academic perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my mom was probably my number one fan, but also my number one person who just pushed me to be great. She was a teacher for 31 years, and so that's why in our household it wasn't a matter of you know are you going to college, is where are you going to college and for how long. Education was number one in our house, just by default, and so just getting pushed you know early and often from a very young age to maximize my academics. I think that made a huge impact on me as I was, growing as a student and as a student athlete. And so for me, having her, there pushing me always to maximize myself, right? Like myself and my sisters, we were all on different levels of abilities academically, so it's not like my mom was like, hey, everybody has to have all A's or whatever. But she knew I had the capability and the cognitive ability to go out and be great in school as well. So she didn't, she held me to a very high standard.
So during this whole COVID time right now, and you've been able to spend a lot of time with your wife and your kids, seen some great pictures on Instagram, and have you been working with your own children and helping them? I know they're still young. This is a little older picture, but I know that there's you have a bunch of kids and you work with them as well.
Yeah, we have four now. That picture right there is about 4 years ago or so, when we only had two and we thought we had our hands full at that point. And now we have four. We have a 7-year-old, the one that's standing up in this picture, Isaiah. He's 7, about to be in second grade. Lennox, who's the baby in this picture, she is now 4, and she is huge and super mature, and it's her birthday actually is going to fall to where she doesn't even go to school this fall. She's not going to go to school till next fall. So not only is she's already taller than a lot of 6-year-olds. She's 4, and she's going to be 6 in kindergarten. So it's going to be she's going to be huge, in her class. But she's the nicest, most gentle human on the planet, and she'll be a great leader in her classes. And then Elijah is a 3-year-old boy, and he's a 3-year-old boy through and through. And he is breaking and terrorizing and but loving. He's probably the cuddliest out of all the kids as well. And then our baby, Zyara, she's 1. She's 13 months now. Just learning how to walk and talking a little bit, having a couple little words here and there. So we have all these different stages all at once, and it's a lot, but it's the most rewarding thing ever.
There's no better way of saying it, and it actually right on your shirt. We're blessed to have our children, and it's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And we're really happy to have Anthony Tolliver on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. As you all know, we do our leadership series on Wednesdays as well as on Sundays. I'm really excited to have Anthony talk about his career, not only as a basketball player, but also entrepreneur and father and husband, and really an awesome conversation that we're having here. So Anthony, like you said, you come out of Creighton. It's 2007. And you ended up in, I think you started in the D League.
Mm-hmm.
And then by 2008, you got the Spurs to sign you, and you were off to the races.
Yeah, my journey, my basketball journey post-college career has been nothing short of crazy. Went to training camp with the Cavaliers. They brought me there to be a fill-in, pretty much. No one expected me to compete for a spot or do anything in particular, but got there, used my brain and used all my God-given talents to maximize my opportunity, and I ended up outperforming everyone in camp and ended up making the team. So going into opening night, they actually released me on opening night, but I made the team technically, right? So my second year, when I did sign with the Spurs, ended up making some extra money because technically I was a second-year player. So even though this was my first time really playing, really being on the court, it was kind of great because I actually skipped out on a lot of the rookie duties that a lot of people had to do. Because on paper I was a second-year player, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're still a young guy, but you're not a rookie, right?" So it was pretty glorious. I didn't have to do the whole rookie duty stuff, but yeah, man, just I think I counted up the other day. I think I've put on 17 different jerseys. That includes D League, I guess G League now, but D League, overseas, and NBA. You put all those together, I think it's been 17. So one constant in my basketball career has been change, and so it's been 13 years. 13 years playing professional basketball. Had crazy amount of teammates. I've built a lot of different relationships. It's been highly beneficial, to my business, endeavors as well. Just being able to have a widespread network of guys who are, who I have great relationships with. So, but yeah, man, it's been a journey, but I wouldn't trade it because it's made me who I am.
And now you're in Memphis, and is this is your first go round with the Memphis Grizzlies, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is pre-COVID and post-COVID 2 different go rounds. Pre-COVID, I had a 10-day contract and, went there, performed well, had a nice showing, and we were talking about, finishing the year here with the Grizzlies and possibly even talking about next year already. And then COVID happened, right? And then the shutdown happened. So it depends on how technical do you want to get, right? But yeah, this is the first time I've played for the Memphis Grizzlies. This season was the first time, and yeah, I mean, unbelievable organization. There's a reason why the Grizzlies are in the position they are, or the position we are. Technically, since I'm on the team now, because man, like you talk about leadership. Um, Even though it's a lot of young leadership, as far as even from the top, the GM, he's a couple years younger than me. The coach is only 6 months older than me. It's a very young leadership group, but it's a very young team. I think it's the second youngest team in the NBA. But as far as leadership goes, man, they run their ship right, and it's evident from the top to the bottom. Everybody understands that there's a standard here, and I think that goes to the people who are in leadership roles, and they're really showing their ability to lead, and it's showing up all the way through onto the court, and outperforming anything that anybody expected. I mean, Grizzlies were expected to be 13th, 14th in the West, and right now we're in eighth, so we're in the driver's seat to make it to the playoffs. So,
well, talk about, I mean, from a leadership perspective, and also, being a veteran on the team, you have some really young potential superstars on the team. What are some of your responsibilities? In when you guys go into the bubble and you start spending time with these guys as much as, what do you think some of the things that you're going to have to do to really give them, what are some of the things of advice you'll give them to be able to, to stay at that? I mean, you got the schedules out, you're in the eighth spot, and you've either got to stay there or move up. Like, what are you going to talk to them about?
Honestly, in this situation, especially in the current environment, the social environment that we're in, the basketball environment that we're going to be in, which like there's just so much new stuff, that no one has experienced before. And what did I say earlier? The only thing that's been constant in my life has been change, So for me, this is not like a big deal to me. Like it's definitely still new, it's different, but change to me is like anything else. Like that's just my normal everyday, every year type thing. Like I'm used to change. A lot of these guys are not. So I think that for me, my focus is always going to be on keeping guys mentally, and emotionally locked in, and not get distracted by all the change. The environment's going to be, pretty tough in a lot of different ways. We're away from our family and friends. The only people we have is ourselves to really, be around. And even then, it's crazy because we're not even going to be able to hang out that, at the beginning. Like we're not supposed to, congregate and get together. So it's going to be a lot of isolation. So it's going to be a lot of, getting guys to realize like, hey, like let's take advantage of this time. There's going to be a lot of teams and people who are going to be distracted. So let's stay locked in on our goals, stay locked in on on the things that are going to, hopefully take us, to the playoffs and hopefully who knows how far, but, just, for us, it's like, man, if we're able to, break into the playoffs this year as a young team, that will be a huge step in the right direction moving forward. And for me, I want to possibly be here for, maybe a season or two beyond this year and really help, these guys, maximize their potential.
Well, again, we're really excited to have Anthony Tolliver on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. It's great to have you here. 13 years in the NBA now is going into the bubble. Has the NBA or the Grizzlies themselves given you and the players, any sort of like rules and guidelines or things to think about right now, or things that you're sort of preparing yourself for what it's going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the executive committee, so I'm the secretary treasurer, and I've been a part of pretty much all the, negotiations and all the different things that are, going on within the union, and the negotiations going between the NBA and the NBPA. Us and these guys that are on this picture here, we're on the phones. Matter of fact, we have a phone call today at like 4 o'clock, and we're going to be walking through a lot of different things and talking through a lot of different things. So, so I'm very familiar with generally what's going on
That's great.
already. And for us, it's all about, hopefully being able to communicate that to the other guys, the younger guys, the guys who aren't a part of these calls and conversations as much as we can. And so, I mean, it's going to be, once again, like I said earlier, it's going to be different. Like that's the nice way to put it. It's gonna be different. Like, it's not gonna be, a lot of people look at even my wife and our nanny and everybody else was like, when I said, hey, we're gonna be, having a campus on Disney, they were like, oh, sweet vacation. Like, we're gonna come and hang out and go to the pools. And I'm like, no. That's not what's about to happen here. Like, even first of all, they can't even come. So, like, that's the first piece is families, there's not even families allowed until the second round. That means there's only 8 teams left. And even then there's a limit to how many people can come. So, it's definitely going to be, not as sweet as some people originally thought. Whenever people said, "Oh, we're going to be on Disney campus," a lot of people thought we're going to be, free for all at Disney World, and it's going to be this huge, Club Med type vacation, But no, it's not. It's going to be literally basketball, eat, sleep, recover, basketball, eat, sleep, recover, and maybe play a little golf, maybe get a little fishing in. But that's about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely going to be different. It's totally different than your normal road trips or even your extended road trips. But that's something that you've been able to really do incredibly well. With change and with difference, types of things like this. And I think, but at the same time, as we all know, it's change of everybody's routine, playing and staying in the same place, eating and living pretty much all together. But then there's this other piece with COVID, and then also what also sort of the unrest, right? The across the country right now, and what's happening with, across society, and the fact that, you have the potential now, and there are certain, I was reading reports of players that may actually put, have different names or sayings across their jerseys now, the whole player activism side of it, which adds a whole nother layer of an opportunity, but the distraction, but also at the same time, leadership, an opportunity to truly lead and move this country forward. How do you feel about all that? I mean, you have so much to think about and so much to do, but like there's opportunity right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, kind of what I was referring to earlier when I said, when I'm talking to the young guys about, taking advantage of this time, that is not just on the court. That is off the court as well. Like I said, there's a lot of, social opportunity right now to make an impact. on our communities, on, the underprivileged, and on pretty much anything that you're really passionate about. So it's just a matter of guys understanding that they have a responsibility. Us as players, I mean, we have a clear responsibility to do what we can, in whatever field or area that we're passionate about. And I feel like, this is going to, being able to change the name on the back of your jersey to something you're passionate about, I think is going to really be able to highlight some of the things that we care about, right? Like there's a lot of people out here that look at me, that look at Chris Paul, that look at, Andre Iguodala, look at all these different guys and say, oh, they're just basketball players, like that's the level of you know humanity that we get. I mean, and that's just how a lot of people view us, and that's been a thing of the past, and that's what we're trying to make sure that people understand is like that used to be the case. I mean, honestly, there used to be just mainly, like a lot of guys just wouldn't touch politics, wouldn't touch anything socially, wouldn't make statements. Everybody kind of followed the whole Jordan route, which was totally fine. Like, after watching The Last Dance, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, I see why he did what he did. It was just so that he could literally do what he's doing now. Like he built an entire empire because he didn't ruffle any feathers. Some people don't think that was a great approach, right? Some people think that he should have been more of an activist, but to me, it's like he did what he had to do in order to build his brand, but now he's been a lot more active in being able to give back to a lot of these communities and stuff like that. If he would have um, you know um, shut down his whole situation with political acts or whatever in the past, he wouldn't have been able to give away $100 million with Jordan Brand, a month ago, right? So hey, it's neither here nor there, right? Like, did he do the right thing and wrong? I don't know, right? But he did what he did, right? But now today's athlete is unapologetic about being open and vocal, and that's just this new wave, right? Like that's how everybody is. Everybody's just like, hey, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I care about, and it's up to you whether or not you want to do anything about it. Hey, you don't agree with me, that's fine. But for us, it's like, what? Like it's not we're not in a position anymore to just say, hey, we're just gonna protect our brands and just go play basketball and do nothing else. Nah, there's a whole new world out here that we're able to really go out and hopefully change and affect in a positive way. And we see that, and we see that there's a big responsibility on our shoulders.
Yeah, it really is a great opportunity and for you, and as an NBA veteran, as one of the board members of the NBPA, you and Chris Paul and Andre and a few of the other players that you mentioned, are you advising or helping some of the younger players in the league on how to go about this, or giving them tips or any sort of advice as to what they can and should do during this time?
Yeah, I mean, give as much advice as guys want. I don't. I try not to be preachy or like their dad or their grandpa. Like, hey, this is what you need to do, right? Like if somebody seeks out knowledge or understanding, they ask me questions all day long. I will give them anything that I know, and everything that I know. I will present it to them and let them know what I know. But for the most part, it's mainly just like just leading by example, right? Leading by example, doing those things, representing those things, continuing to educate myself on different subjects, so that when I speak to them, then I have I have some knowledge base instead of just going off of emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of younger guys. I mean, I think that they look at me and they see a guy who's been out here in the business world, who's done well, who's made some decent decisions on that side, and then someone who's out here, just trying to educate myself on what's going on socially and make an impact through all the avenues that I have. That includes the business stuff that I have going on. That includes the basketball, using all of these things in accordance with it, and just being able to, to use it all to make a change, right, and to hopefully make an impact on people's lives.
You talk about business, you talked about entrepreneurship, you talk about, sort of your role as one of the, veterans in the NBA and being on the board of the NBPA. Have there been either people within the basketball world or in the business world that have really impacted you or shaped the way that you think about business and life today? Are there certain people that you think about?
Yeah. One of the people that I have really admired is Junior Bridgman. Like I've been able to have a couple conversations with him. He's someone who has taken some of his time out of his schedule, crazy schedule, to invest into me. Just by answering questions and there for a while I was interested in the franchising model. Still am. I actually have a couple different investments in a couple of franchises. Not necessarily the food industry, but yeah, just like the general concept of having a brand that's already built and being able to help go build it and be able to capitalize on it. And but yeah, he's definitely somebody that I have looked up to from a standpoint of he's been vastly more successful off the court than on, right? And that is and always has been my thought process and my goal. It's been, hey, like I have the ability to, play basketball, make, really good money, and all that stuff. But if I'm not making 2, 3, 4x off the court than I did on the court, then I'm not nearly as successful as I want to be. Right. That's my goal for myself. Like my goal for myself in basketball was to play. If I could make it to the NBA, it was my first goal. Right. I made it. I said, now if I can stick around for a few years, that's my second goal. And I did that, and I was like, let's try and make this 10 years, right? So I'm going to try to make it 10 years. Well, I'm on year, 12, 13, right? So, for me, it's always been about, all right, what's that next step? And for me, with business is, okay, well, I have a head start because I have capital that, most people don't have. So if I can't go, figure out ways to grow this capital through business, then I'm not, doing exactly what I feel like I should be doing. So like I said, my goal has always been to be more successful off the court than on, and I think that Junior Bridgman is a great example of that.
Yeah, great advice. And as we have Anthony Tolliver, our special guest on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, much more than an NBA basketball player, great entrepreneur, business person. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about one of the companies that you're involved with, Players TV. I'd love to hear the story behind that, how that all came about, you and your business partners, and how you created that, and what are some of the goals and hopes and dreams that you have with Players TV?
Yeah, so I have a tendency getting involved with companies from like straight idea stage, like which is so hard to do. But I have like literally I have a track record of it, and it's and it's something that like I didn't realize how much I loved it, but it's something that is just building something from scratch is something that I absolutely love to do. And so yeah, Players TV is the
Can I
first ever.
interrupt you on that? Do you think, I'm going to interrupt you real quick on that, do you think, because I love it as well, right? As a venture capitalist, we love at 76 Capital to get involved early in companies. We love to get involved in situations where it's like it's just an idea and we're just kind of putting all the pieces together. Do you think there's a piece of that is it's like, wow, we have this amazing idea. Everyone hasn't figured it out yet, but we're gonna show the world. And we're gonna prove, kind of like you've done in many things that you've done, that you're gonna prove that you can do it. And that's how I feel about it. How do you feel about it like that?
I mean, very similarly, I think that there's something to be said about, the ability to go build something from scratch. I mean, literally, Players TV started at my kitchen table. Um, like, we had a couple conversations, and we were like, hey, let's come together, have basically like a date, just a powwow session. We literally got together early in the morning and stayed together all day long, wrote down, kind of game plan, how we're going to attack it, how we're going to do it. Many things have changed and obviously morphed, and you have to be able to shift. But at the same time, man, it's been unbelievable. Actually, what we've been able to do in less than 2 years has been, nothing short of amazing. And so, but for me, it's always been about the challenge, right? People say, when you're in elementary and high school or, middle school, whatever, you go to a camp and they say, hey, who wants to play in the NBA, right? And everybody raises their hand, and then they say, well, do you know that one out of, however many thousands or millions are going to make it? Only one, right? And in my head, I've always been like, well, I'm going to be that one, right? And it's kind of the same thing in entrepreneurship. And whenever you're building a business, when you're, something from scratch, they say, well, 95% of businesses fail, right? Before the fifth year. It's like, well, guess what? I'm going to be in that 5%. That's just like, that's how I've always approached it. And it's in for the different businesses that I'm involved in. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about, a whole show about all the different stuff I'm involved in. But it's, it's definitely something to be said about that. Like, just that mindset. Like, I just I don't feel like I'm going to fail. Like, I don't have the fear of failure either. Hey, are there some things not going to work out? Absolutely. But everything that I get involved with, I'm thinking, how can we make sure that this is successful? And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it is successful. And that's how I feel like with basketball. It's like I've done everything I can, with basketball in order to make sure I was successful. And, that means I'm going to work my tail off. I'm going to get off of here, go do my COVID test, and then work my tail off. It's like that's the order, right? It's always work, right? And it's always putting in the time and effort. And so with Players TV, over the past 2 years, I mean, I've worked like a full-time job for Players TV. I don't get paid for it and all that stuff, but I know that me putting in the time and the effort, along with the entire team that's pushing it forward, I know that that is going to help it succeed, and that's what it's all about: is sacrificing that time and effort into something to see it over the hump.
So you and Duran have and the team have a vision of what you want Players TV to be. Why don't you share that with our audience here on our 76 Capital Leadership Series?
Yeah, I mean, so Players TV is distribution for athlete content, right? And we feel like over the last couple of years, last 3 years or so, there's been a huge shift from for athletes that a lot of athletes they see they make a lot of great content, and they have been a part of a lot of great content, but for the most part, a lot of them, they don't have a place to put it. There's some superstars that are able to go to Showtime, ABC, different outlets, Netflix, and sell their stuff, right? Which is great. Players TV can be for them as well, but that's probably the top 1% of athletes that are able to go do that. For us, we're looking at the other 99% and say, if the seventh or eighth best player on the Memphis Grizzlies has a great story or has a great piece of content, or they are super artistic and have created a show or created something visually in content, where do they put it? Well, currently it's on YouTube, right? Which YouTube's great. YouTube is a great platform used to build brands and everything else. But if you're trying to actually, have a business and make money from the content, YouTube is very, very tough to monetize your content. And plus, you can go buy YouTube stock. So I guess at that point you would be an owner, have some ownership in YouTube, but you're not you're definitely not at the beginning stages. Now, that would be nice to be at the beginning stages of YouTube, as far as from an investment standpoint. But for us, we were like, feel like this is a unique opportunity for athletes to come together, build something together. On YouTube, your YouTube channel is based on you, right? And you have to build out the content library in order for people to keep coming back, in order for it to be successful. Well, for Players TV, it's about the collective, right? So we view it as, hey, if Kevin Durant brings in 2 or 3 hours of content per year, and then wow, Steph Curry, yeah, cool. But now, yeah, Draymond Green, well, now what I'm saying. You start going down the line, Chris Paul, all these different guys. They don't have to bring too much content to the table, just a little bit, right? But if we all bring it all together, right, in one place, it's going to build a ginormous library of content, and it's going to be something that we can come together and a lot of fans are going to really enjoy, seeing what we are like as humans. We talked about it earlier, right? A lot of people view us as athletes, and that's it. That's a huge, huge piece of what we're doing is showing people, humanizing ourselves as, hey, we're just like you and everybody else. We just happen to be really good at basketball. But guess what? I'm also an entrepreneur, just like you are. I'm also a father, just like you are. I'm also a man of faith, just like you are. Right? All these different things that humanize us, we want to make sure that we highlight through Players TV.
Well, it's really it's exciting, and certainly the journey and the thoughtfulness that you and your team have put into this is really impressive. And I hope you guys do great, and wish you a lot of luck. And who knows how the story continues to grow, and maybe there'll be ways for us to help each other with this, and that would be great. It'd be great.
Absolutely.
Because we're one of the reasons why I was excited to have you on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is the fact that we want to have people like you who are true leaders, on the court, off the court, in the community, in society, having the right mindset. It's been great having you share all the things that kind of how you're thinking about what the rest of the NBA season will be like. How you'll be able to, help and work with some of the other players if they do come to you and have questions, and will be, a mentor to many of them. I think that's super exciting. When you think about what this bubble, or what this the end of the NBA season and into the playoffs and through the finals, and what happens there, how do you see that as potentially helping to make this world a better place? What are some of the things that you think that could potentially happen on the court around all the fact that basketball and sports will be back in such a big way? How do you think that could potentially have a real impact on society as a whole?
Well, after going through this whole process, it made me realize how intertwined our how sports was so intertwined in our society. I feel like there's a lot of unity that happens through sport, that there's not many other things that can bring that same type of power. Boston Celtics have, a wide variety of different types of fans, right? And right now, obviously, you can't connect in an arena. But as far as that goes, when you're in that arena, you're cheering for the Boston Celtics. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. Doesn't matter if you're, um, whatever. As long as you're cheering for my team. Now, that's the thing is there's some division because, hey, if you're playing against the Lakers, then you might have some people divided in that regard. But so I guess in some ways it brings people together. In other ways, it still divides. But but I think for the most part, people, I think that like I said, sports is just a unique outlet that allows people to, you know, I don't ever want to look at sports as a distraction from real life, because if you get distracted and you don't stay focused on what's really important, then that can be actually a negative thing. But I feel like sports is definitely something that can be a nice break, right? A nice break from some of the realities that people have to face. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing is hopefully in some ways bringing people together, but also giving people a break from some of the tough things in life, and allowing people to, that can't go on vacation right now, have at least a little bit of a mental vacation, and be able to watch, a game that they love.
Well, just want to thank you for joining. Really appreciate all your thoughts, all the things that you are doing on and off the court. Love the entrepreneurial spirit and the business sense and all the things that you're doing. Hopefully we'll get to do more things together. Wish you a lot of luck, as well as, make sure that you stay safe, and take those Grizzlies a little further than anyone else thought they could go. That could be amazing.
That'd be great. No, yeah, we're just going to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and you never know. You never know, especially in this environment. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy environment. Might be able to sneak up on some people with all these young guys on this team, and be able to take advantage of having the youth that some of these other teams don't. So you never know. We're just going to go out there and see what happens. And me as a leader on the team, just going to try to continue to, like I said, to keep you guys focused on just trying to dominate and trying to do what we can to get some wins, and also, like I said, take advantage of the captivated audience that we have, to be able to hopefully make change off the court as well.
So one last thing, maybe you can give a little bit of inside perspective, and share with the audience of, who should we be watching right now on your team? Maybe some sleeper players, or people that, you really should keep an eye on this guy, because of what they're going to be able to potentially do when you guys go back.
Yeah, I mean, well, the obvious one is Ja. I mean, he's going to be Rookie of the Year. If he's not, then it's a crime. But yeah, he's special. I've seen a lot of young players in this league. I played with Steph Curry his rookie year, and played with a lot of other great players, and he has some of those same characteristics of greatness in his DNA. He's a very special kid, and he's just a good dude too. Which is, to me, is very important. But Jaren Jackson Jr., he's another young up and coming guy that he has such a unique skill set for being almost 7 foot. Just being able to watch him grow and develop has been pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of young guys on this team that have a lot of great talent and a lot of great potential. You know, I think that between those two, my guy Melton, he's he's going to be really good. Just kind of a under the radar type of guy, great shooter, really good defender. There's like I said, I could name probably 5 or 6 young guys on this team that have have been really really good for the Grizzlies and who are going to be good players moving forward. So just keeping this team together, I think will be you'll see some pretty special moments from the Grizzlies over the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, thank you so much. Best of luck. Again, Anthony Tolliver on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Thank you so much for having us. You can always stay up on all, thanks so much for joining us on our show, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, and as you all know, you can keep up with all the things that are happening with 76 Capital on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, as well as subscribing on our YouTube channel. So for Wayne Kimmel, this is the 76 Capital Leadership Series. Have a great day.